Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we sift through the corporate filings so you don't have to. Today we're diving into Predictive Oncology's latest 8K filing. It's got a little bit of everything, a stock offering, some warrants, and maybe a hint of we need money. Let's see if they can make it work. Let's scroll date of report, date of earliest event reported, February 18th, 2025, seat scroll. First off, this report is dated February 18th, 2025. So everything we are discussing happened around that date. Okay, the first big item here is about a material definitive agreement. That's just a fancy way of saying they signed a really important contract. Scroll Predictive Oncology Inc. PAI, or the company, entered into a securities purchase agreement. So Predictive Oncology signed an agreement to sell shares of their stock. This is called a securities purchase agreement. Basically, they found some investors willing to buy their shares directly. Scroll sale by the company of 336 shares, the shares of the company's common stock. Third scroll, they sold 363,336 shares of their common stock at a price of $1.50 per share in a registered direct offering. A registered direct offering simply means they sold these shares directly to investors without going through the usual public offering process. This all happened pretty quickly. The offering closed just a day later on February 19th, 2025. The agreement includes the usual promises and guarantees from both the company and the investors. These are standard legal protections for everyone involved. Scroll. The company has agreed to certain restrictions on the issuance and sale of its common stock or common stock equivalents that scroll. Predictive Oncology has agreed to some limits on selling more stock in the near future. This is to prevent flooding the market with new shares which could drive the price down. They raised about $545,004 before any fees or expenses. Gross proceeds are the total amount of money from a sale before taking away the expenses. They plan to use this money for working capital, which is money for day-to-day operations and other general company needs. This usually means they need more money to keep things running. These shares were offered under a shelf registration. Think of it like having permission in advance to sell shares when the company needs to. This saves time and paperwork. H.C. Wainwright and Company LLC helped them with this offering. Wainwright acted as the placement agent, finding investors for the stock sale. The scroll, the company has agreed to pay Wainwright an aggregate fee equal to 7.0% of the gross proceeds. The scroll, Predictive Oncology is paying Wainwright a fee of 7% of the money raised, plus a management fee of 1%. They also covered $15,000 of Wainwright's legal fees. They also gave Wainwright warrants, which are options to buy even more shares in the future, up to 7% of the shares sold. Warrants are a pretty common way to compensate placement agents. To scroll, the placement agent warrants are exercisable for 5 years from the commencement of sales in the offering and have an exercise price equal to 125% of the purchase price of share of common. Stock satted scroll. These warrants can be used for 5 years and the price to buy shares with them is $1.875 per share, which is 125% of the $1.50 offering price. Scroll. A copy of the opinion of DLA Piper LLP relating to the legality of the issuance and the sale of the shares is attached as Exhibit 5.1 here too. The scroll. The company included a legal opinion from DLA Piper LLP confirming that the share sale was legal. It's a standard thing to include in these kinds of filings. Moving on to item 3.02, unregistered sales of equity securities. This is related to those warrants we just talked about. This scroll, item 1.01, related to the placement agent warrants and the shares of common stock issuable thereunder, is hereby incorporated by reference into this item 3.02. Basically, it's saying that the information about the warrants from item 1.01 also applies here. The warrants and the shares connected to them were not registered with the SEC. Now, item 8.01, other events. This is where they mention anything else important that didn't fit in other categories. Riscroll, the company issued press releases regarding the transactions described above under item 1.01 of this current report on Form 8K. These scroll, Predictive Oncology put out press releases about the stock offering. These are usually intended to inform the public and boost investor confidence. And finally, item 9.01, financial statements and exhibits lists all the supporting documents attached to this report. Here we can find things like the actual warrant agreement, the legal opinion, and the press releases. If you wanted to dig into the fine print, this is where you'd look. So what does this all mean? Predictive Oncology needed some cash, and they raised it by selling shares directly to investors. They paid fees to H.C. Wainwright, including warrants that could give Wainwright a significant stake in the future. The company says they'll use the money for general purposes, which suggests they need it for day-to-day operations. Looking at Predictive Oncology, the immediate impact of this stock offering is that the company has more cash on hand. That's a good thing. However, they have slightly diluted their stock. That's not a good thing. One of the biggest risks for Predictive Oncology is that they might need to raise even more cash in the future. Biotech companies can be risky and depend a lot on very expensive research. Their past performance isn't available here, but it is critical to making a solid decision on whether or not to invest in the company. Based on this, the best I can offer is a neutral position with a slight bearish leaning because of the offering, as their last press release wasn't amazing news. A price range of $75 to $1.25 would be reasonable given their cash position and uncertainties. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please subscribe, like, and comment below. Let me know what company you'd like me to decode next.